right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the forecast with me, Michael, and of course, Adrian Kerr. How are you doing, mate? Are you good?
Good. Feeling
Yeah.
good.
Are you
Better
psyched
than last
to...
week. Better
Better
than
than
last
last
week.
week. Yeah. That's good. Psyched to have yet another topic to talk about. This time we are actually digging into something that we probably know quite little facts about, but have a lot of ideas around, and it's how to make a living on kiteboarding as an active athlete. I do think it's an important topic to bring up, and there are a lot of youngsters coming up now which are mainly, I would say, probably still supported by their parents or similar. But of course, it is very interesting to see what you can do to make a living of your passion, so to speak. So should we start by talking a little bit about being sponsored by a kite brand or the kite business? It's not that big money in it, is it?
I think we have to go back and realize that nobody gets into kite surfing to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, you first of all, you got to realize that there is no money to be a professional rider. It's not like tennis or golf or surfing or skateboarding. I mean, realistically, people are in kiteboarding because A, they love the sport, and B, they're super passionate about it. And if any money does come of it, it's a bonus. I mean, I think that's the most important thing that I think people need to realize, because to be paid by a brand, I'm going to say it's probably the hardest part of kiteboarding. Okay. If you look at it, there's probably a couple of easy steps. The easiest way to make money in kiteboarding is to become a kite instructor. To be an instructor or to teach kiteboarding, to go down, work at a shop and travel the air, flying the wind, work in South Africa, work in Asia, work in Europe, and just go around being a kite instructor. That is the easiest way to make money in kiteboarding. And a lot of pros still teach kiteboarding,
Yeah.
A lot of guys that famous names, they're actually teachers. They still teach. They teach to make money. Some of them have schools, so it is the easiest way.
Mm. That's actually a really good point that I haven't even thought about before this starting recording here, and it is. I mean, it's a different to be living on kiteboarding in terms of having it as your business. It's another thing to be paid as a pro athlete or whatever. So yeah, I agree with you. I have a couple of friends who's doing here in Sweden. They're doing shops and schools in the summertime. They're doing it like in southern Sweden, where it's a lot of kite surfers on the water, and in the winter they take the family up to the north, to the mountains, to have it like snow kiting and things like that. So they are for sure living on kiteboarding as well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, clinics is another one as well. Kite. Look, I think teaching kiteboarding is the easiest way. The next one is like running clinics. Once you have a name, you can run coaching clinics. And Mike McDonald's a very good example of that. He runs clinics. He has a dealer thing in South Africa. Has Core South Africa. He also has a brand. I mean, I'm getting further on how we make money there, but look, don't think every pro kiteboarder's money comes from a brand. I mean, if anything, it's the smallest amount, if any. Most of them are kite teachers, running clinics, are their first sort of steps. I think for the lucky ones, maybe they can have a dealership as well, where they're running, like Mike has Core South Africa, as a external thing. I think the way you have to look at it is that pro kiteboarders have maybe 4 or 5 profit streams, and each of those little profit streams are filtering down to what they do. I mean, and we haven't really even got into the social media side. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon, but the easiest ways to do it are to teach and run clinics, and then maybe get a dealership for a brand that you're passionate about, and you can start selling kites to your local area.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of talking about Mike McDonald and his many projects he has to be able to live on that, I do have Janek Gregorczewski t-shirt on me from the Bigger Kite League or the Bigger Kite site. And as far as I understand, for every t-shirt, branded t-shirt with a pro rider that you buy from them, Janek actually gets a little bit of money from
I think 5%, right?
I think so
Something
too.
like
Yeah. And I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. A project that's with Mike and his team to put this up. And I must say the quality is super nice. So I really enjoy the apparel I got from them. And just to make the thing also that Janik and the other pro riders that you can buy like their signature apparel there actually get something out of it. So Mike gets something, Bigger Kite League gets something as well to be able to fund like a tour of Bigger Kite League's events, and the pro riders get something as well. So I think that's one way of doing it, of course, as well.
Yeah.
And we saw that the young Jamie Overbeek, the Dutch rider, he had also have some sort of apparel collection, the Jamie Overbeek collection from some collaboration as well. So once you get your name out there, of course, there opens up a little bit of doors to collaborations like that. I have no idea what he gets out of it, but
I think paid product placement at a bigger end. I think that's where it's becoming tougher to make money. I think after those sort of first three examples we got, the next one is having a brand support you directly with rather the cash rather than in kind. I mean, I guess you're going to get in kind. Hey, I'll give you some, snugs. Okay, cool. I'll wear them, but you don't get any money from them, but you're getting the kit, so to get cash is king, right? When you want to be a pro kiteboarder, because you need to live. I think product placement is probably in there somewhere, but I think being a pro rider and winning competitions is probably next. Going to competitions and winning prize money, because once you get to where you're earning prize money, obviously your social media, everything will increase, and that's when those brands that have a little bit of money that want to give you some will come into play. I mean, that is, and now we're talking a very, very small percentage of the guys can actually go and win competitions. In King of the Air, in Big Air, we only have 2. Now we're having smaller competitions come. In freestyle, we have a bunch more, but it's not a lot of money. There is a lot of money. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to work out, and I know Mike McDonald done this, and I don't want to stand on his toes. He worked out what you have to spend going to Cape Town. Okay, and I'm not going to give any figures because this is his IP. What you come as a person coming in from England, you fly in, you stay, your accommodation, your food, your F&B, whatever, to winning the King of the Air, to flying. At the end of that, the prize money you get of all that barely covers your living costs for the time you've been in South Africa. So it's like you're doing this just really for that amazing mask. You're not going home and putting money away as an Easter egg.
No, but we aren't at the position yet that there are a lot of big money to win when you are in a competition, any competition, I would say, in kiteboarding. I would love to see, of course, kiteboarding going more towards, as you mentioned, like a bigger sports like surfing, where there's a lot of outside brands that can put in money into a prize money, so people can actually start getting a little bit extra in the pocket after winning a competition, or just being on the podium for that matter. But how far away do you think we are from a situation like that? Do we need to grow the sport?
Absolutely. I mean, there's only 2. Look, honestly, Matt, I mean, this is the problem. Right? And before we even get to my last point about becoming a pro rider, is that I think we have to be a realist about the size of the industry. I think probably, let's say, guys who have kite gear and kite regularly, I'd say we're probably only 250,000 kiters, around about that, who are what I would call regular kiters. Let's say kite 8 times a year to 10 times a year. I'm going to call them a regular kiter. We don't have a lot of people. And of that people, we have industry, media, riders, brands, accessory brands, people who are kiteboarding geeks, those guys, and then the larger percentage, which is the weekend warriors, who have no idea what's going on. The problem is that the people who invest in this in our sport see that.
Mm.
In surfing, mate, everyone's in. Everyone's bought into the whole thing. Here we have a sport where it's so disjointed that there's just not the money. There's not the investment. There's no one can see the value in that, you know. And that's been, I think, being brutally honest. I mean, I don't think that we have the size. We are a micro sport in a big world, and we want everything. And that's really, really hard to hear for some people. You know, why is Jesse and Nick and Aaron risking their life at King of the Air for like $10,000? $10,000 for a sport for what we see is ridiculous. You know, or I think it was the Mystic Move. I think Jesse got like a few years ago into that massive 2019, that massive unhooked dangle pass. He got $1,000. $1,000. I mean, for you know, 15-meter high unhooked dangle pass. I mean, come on, it's nothing, you know.
That doesn't even like take care of the bandages. If it covers the bandages,
absolutely, you know. I mean, that's the thing. We're all passionate. We love the sport, but we just don't have the numbers for big companies to look at that and see the value in it. You know, there's still people, if you say, oh, I'm a kiteboarder, they probably don't even know what it is. You know, if you went to Africa and say, I'm a surfer, they'll know surfing. You know, that's the thing. I think we have to be a realist about the size of the industry. And I think that's a direct reflection in the amount of money that gets paid down to riders. Are there kiteboarders who make a lot of money? Sure. There is, I could probably think of maybe 4 or 5 guys in the industry who make good money. And that's it. And those guys are the big names that we know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think that getting sponsored by a brand outside of kiteboarding is probably I wouldn't say an easier to get, but an easier way to make money if you can get it. We have seen guys like Ruben Lenton, Kevin Langray, Yuri Soon, etc., having like totally different brands that they support, that they have, you know, been endorsed by. And I'm guessing that those kind of money is quite a lot more than you can get from any brand or anything in the kiteboarding industry.
I mean, we assume so, right? We don't know. You know, we don't know what their deal is, but
no,
just to the listeners though, just to let you know, but if you see a guy who's riding for Duotone or North or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean they're getting paid. They might be getting free gear. They might be paying super low price for gear. I mean, there's a huge difference in a team riders from what all team riders get up to the top team riders, right? That's, you know, when you talk about building a brand, again, something that Mike's done very, very well, or let's say Kevlog, which is probably one of the biggest brands, right? He has a lot of value because he has a huge social media presence. He's getting out there. He's got a lot of things. He'll get paid more based on his social media presence and his riding ability than a person who's coming in who's super hot doing contra loops and, you know, got all these amazing moves. But if you're unproven, there's no money there.
Yeah, let's go into social media a little bit, and because I feel that some of the really, really good riders that could potentially be the ones winning, you know, competitions, being world champs, etc., maybe aren't the best at social media. And then there are the guys that are pretty decent riders but are amazing on social media. Which one of those do you think will benefit in terms of making money out of it in the long run?
You know, in any other sport, the person who is focused 100% on their sport will win the big events and will reap the rewards. Unfortunately, in our sport, I think it's important to have a really good balance on that. Let me give you a good example, right? Valentin Rodriguez, he does nothing on his social media. I mean, he's the world champion, but 2019 world champion, last freestyle world champion we had. He's very I wouldn't say he's bad, but he does almost very, very little. He should be a megastar. I mean, I guess probably you can probably say the same thing about in previous years about Bebe. You know, doesn't speak English very well. I mean, Watson speaks English perfectly, but doesn't speak English. Bebe we're talking about. He's probably missed out on that. But again, I think there has to be a balance from putting your time on the water and being good at what you can do, or running a vlog. And you know, as a person who runs a vlog, it actually is quite hard, right? It takes away an hour of your session time filling some B-roll and doing this filming and mucking around. That's a lot of time you're losing.
Yeah, for sure. It is a lot of time. And then of course, there are some vlogs out there that have the riding in it. I'm nowhere near as good as a rider as many of the vlogs are out there, but I'm trying to focus on you know, how to present it and the editing of it and storytelling a little bit. I'm not the best of that either, but looking at a guy like Ben Beholtz, for example, the German rider, he is a good kiteboarder, but he's not anywhere near pro. But he has for sure managed to make a living out of having his social media, you know, YouTube channel. As a primary.
Oh, there's definitely a place for that, right? I mean, a good example is Jake Kelsick, right? By the way, Jake was a really fantastic park rider, but he's just built his whole thing on just putting out these really highly polished videos that he does, you know. So there is definitely a balance for that. But you're talking about the guys at the very top. We're talking about, like, how do you make real money, the top pros, you know? I mean, there are guys who, I mean, how much money are these guys really making? How much money are these guys really making out of their social media? You know,
no, it's really hard to.
I think probably Ben probably gets a certain percentage or gets something from Core for promoting Core all the time or using Core. So it's tough to know, mate. But listen, it is not the big. These guys are not ballers, as to coin a term. You know, these big guys are not. They don't have the money people think.
No, and speaking of how much they make out of the social media, looking at YouTube, for example, as far as I know, YouTube don't like endorse content creators differently based on how big their potential audience is. So kiteboarding, again, is a very small audience. Looking at like having smartphone reviews, etc., is a massive audience. So I don't think you can make a living from YouTube, like being paid from YouTube as a kiteboarding content creator. However, what you can do is of course, if you manage to get to a certain level, decent level of subscribers and followers there, you can get endorsed by other brands that want to support you. You know, and that's what Ben is doing, of course, as well, as you said, with Core. I don't know his deal, but I'm guessing that's and he has like this content is paid by the provider or something. So yeah, it's a tough. I was thinking about the Renault. What's it called? What's his name?
Renault Romeo.
Yeah,
Renault Romeo.
That is I listened to your podcast. That's what I found out about it. And he posted a reels on Instagram that was reposted by a really famous person, and he's got like how many views did he get?
I think it was 35 million when I last saw. I mean, it's ridiculous numbers, but I mean, it could be gone up by now. I mean, let me have a quick look. But I mean, Renault.
But that's one way of growing the sport and the interest of the sport, isn't it? So I was super happy to see that. And as you also mentioned in your other podcast, the thing
49 million.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
And the thing he did there wasn't like super like sketchy move or anything like that, but he was reposted by the right person, and hopefully that can bring up the interest of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know, man, what will be viral or not. You just don't know. That's the thing, right? You don't know. You could put something out and you're like, man, this is terrible, and people like it. Or you could put something out, man, I'm so proud of this, and it can be a complete donkey. I mean, that is part of life, you know, and that's what I always say about putting out podcasts. You just got to be consistent. You got to put them out. Everyone cannot be a home run. The more you put out, though, the better you get at hitting home runs, I'll say, you know. You know, maybe the first first 10 things, you might put out one that's good, but then the second 10, you might put out two that's good. The third 10, you might be at three that's good. And then you get better at putting out good stuff. So maybe those top guys who've built their brands, they know. But going back to those vlog, like let's say Kev, right, and Mike both have a filmer now and an editor. You know, the best guys. Let's talk about Jamie O'Brien, who's probably the biggest surfing vlogger out there. You know, man, he's got 1, 2, 3 full-time guys working for him, 4 full-time guys working for him, creating his content. 4. One on the beach, 1 drone pilot, alternating days with another camera guy in the water, plus a full-time editor, and another guy does other editing. So, you know, those guys have invested heavily in that, but with that comes the returns. Like brands want to get involved. Once you've got that many followers, brands will reach out to you and say, hey, Catch Surf, for example, hey, we want to do a Jamie O'Brien catch surfboard. Okay, cool. But mate, it's a tough one. I mean, again, going back to the very thing, I just don't think we have the numbers in the sport to really make super. But it's funny, I actually have Lewis Crathing coming on the podcast, and one of the things Lewis wants to talk about is how pro riders make money, which is really cool. But I was hoping I was going to talk to him before I spoke to you, but that's just the way it's turned out. But it'd be interesting to hear what he has to say, because he, along with a lot of those people in England, Aaron and Tom and Hannah and himself, are from that core group of guys who are doing very well, and how they do it, be interested to know. But he does a lot of speaking, a lot of coaching. Those guys do a lot of, especially Watson does a lot of coaching as well, you know?
Yeah, but exactly. And he is a very outspoken kind of guy. I mean, he's comfortable behind the microphone and on screen and everything. I don't feel like maybe everyone is, so that's maybe a hard thing to do as well. But I'm also curious to find out a little bit more about Ruben Lente's project with the young. Well, you don't have to be young, but I think it's young riders who learn how to get endorsed. I think that's the essence of it. And of course, I mean, those guys have started something. I would say that when Lewis and Ruben and Aaron started out, the sport was even smaller. So they have like been the first generation of guys trying to make a living out of it.
What I heard is there's actually a lot more money in the sport back then.
Oh, was it?
The prize money was big, yeah. The prize money was big back then. And then sort of just due to some unforeseen circumstances, settled down a little bit and never really grew again. So look, there is definitely
maybe fewer brands being able to have a little bit higher prices on the product, less restrictions and everything, made a bigger, better not return on investments, bigger winnings on sales or something like that. But
we want cheaper gear, man. We want cheaper gear.
That's what I say. Exactly. But I think in the beginning of any sport, the equipment is quite expensive, and maybe those are bigger profit back then. I don't know. But interesting to hear. Yeah. What do you think about things like we will see, I think, 2 kiteboarding movies coming out this year. One is the Triple S
movie and Cabaret.
Do you think that will increase the interest of the sport and grow the sport?
Look, I'm going to give this example. It's not going to be Karate Kid. You know, it's not going to be. No one's going to watch. When we watch, I mean, we're showing our age here. But when we watch Karate Kid, man, I kicked so many holes in my parents' walls because I was just wanting to do karate. You know,
everyone's doing this.
Everyone's doing the crane kick.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a Rocky or Karate Kid or Enter the Dragon type movie that's going to make people crazy about boxing or martial arts? I think the answer we know is no. But I think that the demographic that this is focused on, even if it inspires a handful of kids, look, someone, Michael McKinley, I think the guy's name is prepared to put his money on the line to make this movie. If he inspires a group of kids to get involved, why not? Look, everyone's shitting on it because it just looks so bad.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that it's that classic line, right? Any news is good news, or any press is good press, you know. So look, I think if it inspires a generation of kids to want to do kiting, why not? Absolutely, why not? I mean, it's Scott. I spoke to a few of the riders, and this will be in the Megapod the next week. A few of the riders are involved, and they think the same. Look, it's easy for us to look back and say, "Oh, this looks like shit."
No, but to be honest, I'm looking forward to it. I do think
no, you're not. Tell the truth. You're only going to watch it to laugh.
No, to be honest, I'm always I'm trying to be as positive as I can going into anything like the distance battle or whatever we talk about. I'm trying to be positive. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of crappy, well, semi-crappy movies together with my kids where there's some young kid who's trying to make it in a different sport or in a
Charlie
as a
McKinnon.
dancer or whatever, and so I do think that this potentially can have an audience, but not by the kiteboarders. It's by someone else.
It's not. That's the thing, right? It's not for kiteboarders to watch. It's for people to get in.
Exactly.
Listen, I think that. Look, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Look, there's been a bunch of bad movies made on everything in the past, and no one says a word. It's just that we haven't had a lot of movies, so we think it's bad. The other one is Cabaret, starring Aduri. Again, I don't know if that's in English or Spanish, so I don't know, but maybe it is in English. I don't know. I can't remember, but it actually looks marginally better because Aduri is actually, Aduri's in it.
He's the star in it, yeah.
He's the star, man. He's the star. If you look on his thing that says movie star on his
yeah.
I love it.
He's everything, But is that a potential new income revenue stream for kiteboarders as well?
No,
because
mate, dude, no one's listen. There's not going to be another kiteboarding movie made for some time unless someone makes one. But listen, I can't. But those guys got
movies.
Those guys got paid, by the way. The guys are in it. Sam and both the Sams, Medeski and Sam Light. Colleen and Sensi and Noe was the stunt double. They all got paid, so that's great. Good for them. Hey, they're pro riders. A little bit more money. We're talking about profit streams. Maybe being stunt doubles in kiteboarding movies is a way out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That I don't think that they will be movie stars, but we need to have really good riders to being like stunt doubles or doing the tricks that you actually see on screen. I'm not sure if we will see a lot more kiteboarding movies, but I mean, there's a bunch of snowboarding movies and skateboarding movies.
Apparently, the writing in it is good.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the list of the pro riders in it. I'd be surprised if the writing isn't any good.
So I think Brandon Scheid is Skeeter's. Brandon Scheid and I can't remember the other guy. I think Eric Reinstra are the two stunt doubles for the other three main riders in it. One being, I can't remember the names. Look, honestly, I'm going to watch it because I'm interested. But I think, listen, even if one person gets into it, that's a win, right? Even if one person says, "Hey, I'm going to get into kiteboarding because I saw Senate the movie," I'll question their mentality, but I'll say, "Welcome to the sport."
All right. Anyhow, I think maybe that should be the ending word of it. We will all watch the Send It movie and have a good laugh, and hopefully hoping to see a lot of kiteboarders coming out of it, because we need to grow the sport to be able to live it. And I would love to see the young guys growing up now, having doing all the crazy stuff they're doing, actually being able to live a decent life on their passion, sport, as we see with other sports as well. Cool. Any final comment on that?
Man, pay us all, and that includes the media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you want to sponsor this show, then you can always comment below or reach out to me or Adrian, of course, as well. We don't make a lot of money on this either, so we'd be happy to get a little bit of endorsement for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. With that said, thank you so much, Adrian, and have a good rest of the week, and talk to you soon again.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
The forecast. Kitesurf